Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network.
Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to 101 at Legacy Maker Sports Network.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Darrell Owens, for another episode of Quick Ones, the one-on-ones with Darrell Owens here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, bringing you our NFL Power Rankings for Week 3. Once again, everybody, I'm so glad to have you all here with me today as we bring you another episode of one-on-one. As you know, we've been doing our Power Rankings here throughout the NFL season. We're already in Week 3 or heading into Week 3. The time is going by way too fast. Like, I cannot believe we're already have hit this Week 3 mark. Fun NFL season so far. Very fun NFL season so far. Like everything that I've seen so far in this NFL season, we've had great Thursday night games, great Sunday night games, great Monday night games. Well, Monday night last night was, but it was still, we've had good games all the way across, competitive games, a couple of blowouts here and there, but for the most part, the NFL season has gotten off to a great start, and I like what I've seen so far. I'm glad, like I said, we're just glad to be back in the fold to bring you our Power Rankings this week as we head into Week 3 of this NFL season. So we've got a lot going into this. We're going to definitely give you our top 5 MVP candidates. After Week 2, the top 5 has changed quite a bit. We only have one person that was in the top 5 last week that is in the top 5 this week. So we'll also be doing that as we get towards the end here on the Power Rankings. But we're not going to hold you long. We want to be able to give you these Power Rankings, give you something to fester on as we head throughout the weeks here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, of course, on 101. We want to be able to give you something to think about and try to get it. As the season go along, the more accurate these Power Rankings will get. It's going to go back and forth over the first couple of weeks, but we're going to see how all of that goes and how everything flows on that end. All right, y'all, it is time. It is time to bring you our Power Rankings for Week 3 or going into Week 3. Of course, Thursday night game this week, the Texans taking on the Panthers. Texans 1-1 coming into this week. Panthers are 2-0 after a good win last week, and they've made themselves quite a jump in our power rankings. They have slowly but surely made their way up the rankings, but we'll get to that also here in a minute. And this Texans team, they've played a lot better than I thought they would, but like I said, they've been flowing. So we're going to get to all that here in the next couple of seconds. Well, let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's start off, ladies and gentlemen, with the bottom. So the bottom of the NFL Power Rankings for myself after Week 2 here, we're going to start off with the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons took on the Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, losing that contest 48-25. When you got Tom Brady, and when you got Tom Brady as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when you got Tom Brady, it's hard for any team to overcome. And the Falcons definitely took a tough one, losing that one 48-25. The game had its moments where the Falcons started making moves, but it was just too much Tampa Bay. Falcons at 32 on this countdown. 31, the New York Jets. The Jets never showed up. Never showed up against New England. Hurt my feelings because the Jets were my Lone Ranger pick this week. I picked them as my Lone Ranger. They were the only team that I had that I picked against. I'm the only person that picked that Jets team against the Patriots, and I just knew that they were gonna do something. But then, our man Zach Wilson, number 2 pick overall, throws 4 interceptions, and I can still hear my man Jansen Harris on his rant as the picks are being thrown. So if you don't know my man Jansen Harris of the Just Good Network, you got to go back and check out his page. Go check out the network, but go check out that page and go see my man just lose it on Zach Wilson. That's still, if I'm sad, I'm able to go back to that and just take a look at it. I've been having a really tough, year, but that made me smile quite a bit. Jets at number 31. 30, the New York Football Giants. They're 0-2. Things just haven't clicked in. And they played really competitive the other night against Washington. Daniel Jones looked a lot better. I really thought that they might pull that game off, but mistakes at the end, a penalty that some fans are saying are not a penalty, that, not Justin Lawrence, but my man that came from Clemson, and I'm having a whole brain fart, but Lawrence jumped a little bit across the line, and they said that he was perfectly timed, but it was called. The Giants lost that one 31-29 in a tough one against the Washington football team. The Jaguars are at 29. They're 0-2. It has looked rough. There's been nothing pretty about it. It just seems like they're just trying to figure themselves out. Teddy B Incorporated looked good, so at least, Teddy B and them moved to 2-0. But the Jaguars still at 29, haven't really moved that much. They were 30 if they moved up one spot, then they're right back where they are at 29. Next, we got the Detroit Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions could be higher on this list. A great game against Green Bay, and when they played well in the first half, they went into the half with a 17-14 lead, and then they didn't score anymore. Green Bay went on a 20-0 run to finish off that Monday night game. But the Lions have a lot of potential. I still like Dan Campbell. 27, the Indianapolis Colts. Carson Wentz, both ankles are sprained. I didn't even know you can sprain both ankles. I know that sounds crazy coming out. I know that sounds crazy saying it out loud, but I didn't even know you can sprain both ankles. But Carson Wentz did that. And once again, the Colts are could be getting closer to desperation mode here. I know it's only 0-2, but when your quarterback situation is bleak, you have to kind of think about those things. Next, number 26, the Minnesota Vikings, also 0-2. This Vikings team has played tight in these first 2 weeks. Lost a tough one in overtime. To Cincinnati. Then they go into Arizona, lose a tough one 34-33 in a game that was just filled with all types of just, great plays. It was a fun game. Man, Kyler Murray threw 400 yards. Kurt threw for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook had 22 carries for 131 yards. KJ Osborne, young receiver out there in Minnesota, he had 5 receptions, 91 yards. So, this Vikings team, I feel like they're getting closer to maybe, they just got to find that right opponent. Hopefully, as a Packers fan, it doesn't happen against Green Bay, but they got to find that right opponent just to get them going, to get that W against. But they could easily be 2-0 right now. Next, the Texans, 1-1. They win the first week against Jacksonville. This week, they gave Cincinnati, they gave Cleveland a run for their money. They were looking pretty good. Then Tyrod gets hurt. And so Tyrod is questionable coming into this Thursday night game. And I really don't think he's going to play. But, I tell you what, I like what I've seen from this Texas team. And I still think that they're a lot better than what I thought they were, and a lot better than a lot of people thought they were. So Texans at 25. 24, the Cincinnati Bengals. I could have them lower on this list. They won in week 1. Very disappointed in the performance against Chicago. They definitely made a comeback towards the end of the game, but it just wasn't enough. I just didn't like what I saw from Cincinnati in that game for the majority of that game, for at least, 3.5 quarters of that game. But I digress. We'll see how they do next week. The Bears winning their first game. Andy Dalton dealing with some issues. But, we finally got to see Justin Fields, take a couple more snaps and kind of do his thing. He threw a pick, but he was able to seal the deal. The Bears are at 23. 22, the New England Patriots. Lost first week, get a dub this week against the Jets. That's not saying too much. When Zach Wilson's giving you interceptions, just giving you the ball back and forth in great field position, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to capitalize, and the Patriots did just that. They're at 22. 21, the Philadelphia Eagles. They were very competitive in this game against San Francisco this week, but San Francisco was able to hold them off to get the W in that contest. But I like what I'm seeing from Jalen Hurts. I think he's continuing to grow as a quarterback, and we can see really good things from him here, obviously, in the near future. And I need the Eagles to stick with that man and let him kind of continue to develop. They got a good piece there in Jalen Hurts. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the bottom. That's where we're sitting at the bottom right now. And now it's time for us to swing over to the outside looking in. This is that 5 before we hit our top 15 here on our power rankings. And they are as follows. Number 20, the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins got smacked against Buffalo. Wasn't cute, wasn't pretty. It was hard to watch if you're a Dolphins fan. Plus, Tua got hurt, injured his ribs. They're still trying to figure out what the deal is there with Tua, and we'll see if Tua can bounce back from that. Next, number 19, the Washington football team, 1-1, getting their first win of the season against the Giants team that they've struggled against here in the last couple of years, but they were able to get the dub in this one, and a crazy one, and Taylor Heineke getting his first win as the starting QB of the Washington football team. But a great game, lots of energy all the way around, just a good Thursday night game. So, Texans and Panthers got a lot to live up to this week. 18, the Los Angeles Chargers. Nice win against the Washington football team last week. Tough loss to the Dallas Cowboys this week. They were right there with Dallas. It wasn't the prettiest game, but they had a chance to win this one. And if they'd have won that one, we could be talking Chargers in the top 10 or really close to that top 10. Number 17, the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, great first win against the Green Bay Packers last week. Just to destroy Green Bay. Green Bay looked off. But I don't know what happened this week. And Jameis Winston started to look like Jameis Winston from 2.5 years ago. And it was hard to watch. I will give you a sneak peek. He's not in our top 5 this week. And for MVPs, he's not in that look this week. But he tried to get things going late. It just wasn't enough. This Saints team was in a bad spot after that. Next, we've got the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are 2-0. I wanted to put the Denver Broncos in the top 15, but to me, they're 2 victories against the Jaguars and against the Giants. As 2 lower teams on our power rankings. The only reason why I don't have them in the top 15 just yet. We'll see, how this Broncos team, will perform this week. They've got a matchup this week that I think that they obviously can win because they're playing the Jets. So they can definitely go to 3-0, but that'll be 3 of our bottom teams. And the Broncos are getting off to a good start. But you got to win the ones you're supposed to win if you're the Denver Broncos. All right. So now that we've hit it, there it is. That's our outside looking in. Let's go into our top 15, which are our top 15 teams heading into week 3. And we're starting off with the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers come in at number 15. They're 2-0. Very impressive win against the Saints. They win in week 1, and this Panthers team is looking pretty good so far. The defense has played well, but the biggest thing of all, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has played spectacular. They won 26-7 over this Saints team, and it was Sam Darnold for me. 26 for 38, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And Darnold's been, was one of those top draft picks. And the Jets, he struggled with the Jets, and people were like, well, is he really going to be good elsewhere? He's come to Carolina. He's done pretty good so far. And it doesn't hurt to have McCaffrey behind you, a good receiving core with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, guys like that. I like what I see, and a good young defense. So Matt Rule's got a good thing going on there in Carolina. They look a lot better than what I thought they would at this point. So much love to this Carolina Panthers team coming in at 15. At 14, the Tennessee Titans. Wow. What a game for them. The comeback trail looking rough for the majority of that game. They were down 15 early in the 4th. And then just a great job by Derrick Henry, the human freight train. The man, myth, and the absolute legend that is Derrick Henry just bulldozed his way and got this Titan team back in there to win this contest 33-30. And on top of that, I just make this Titans team went from, because they fluctuated the most on my list so far. I think they went from being number 7 to number 21, now back up to 14. So this team has a lot of potential, but a great week from Derrick Henry, pushing the Titans back into the top 15. Next, the Baltimore Ravens, 1-1. Wanted to put Baltimore higher on this list. There's still some issues for me, but it was a great win on Sunday night, beating the defending AFC champion, the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar Jackson, just was doing Lamar Jackson things. The defense stepped up in some big moments. But I like what I saw overall from this Ravens team. This is what if you're a Ravens fan, this is what you needed, because, Lamar's had the worst luck against the Kansas City Chiefs. I definitely had picked the Chiefs to win this game. Baltimore comes through in a clutch game, because, next week, Baltimore would have themselves, a pretty, tough game themselves heading into next week, and I know you're going to say, well, Darrell, that's just the Lions, but the Lions have played well, and I like what Dan Campbell is doing there. So, but the Ravens, number 13 on this list. Next, number 12, the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're also 1-1, still giving them a little love from that week win against Buffalo. Very entertaining game against this Oakland. Excuse me, I keep saying Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders. Very entertaining game. And I like what I saw. It was a really good contest, but in the end, Derek Carr incorporated. Wow. The Raiders are 2-0. Good job on that end, but Pittsburgh's still in the mix. I got them at 12. Number 11, the Green Bay Packers. They definitely needed this win this week. And it looked a little skeptical at the beginning of this contest. It looked like, in my opinion, it just looked like they were about to fold it up. They were keeping themselves going. It looked like they were trying to get into a groove. Definitely got in the groove in the second half, outscoring the Lions 21-0, in the process, winning 35-17. So, like what I saw from Green Bay in the second half, but it is the Lions. And that's not a super slight at them, but the Packers have a pretty good record against the Detroit Lions. Like a couple of things I saw from Jared Goff last night in the first half. In the second half, the rain started pouring, a couple of fumbles that didn't look too hot. Packers at number 11. They got San Francisco this week. That should be a fun matchup. Next, number 10, the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas, 2-0. Derek Carr looking phenomenal. Darren Waller being Darren Waller. Very tough game. I like to see some of these young receivers that have stepped up for this Vegas Raiders team. One, you got the young man Edwards, who had a touchdown in this game. He's been Brian Edwards. He's been looking pretty good. The other young man, Henry Ruggs, gets a touchdown. The first round pick from last year. So I like what I see him from Vegas. Wondering if Vegas can continue that heading into this week. They got the Dolphins this week, who are trying to figure out what their quarterback situation is going to be. So, but I like Vegas, and I think they can move up a little higher on this list next week, but we'll see. Next, the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco won a tough game in Philadelphia to go to 2-0, and this San Francisco team will continue to grow. No Trey Lance last week, didn't see nothing from him, but I like that even though their running backs just keep falling off of the face of the earth here, they're able to still find ways to win. They brought in quite a few running backs, this week to see if, I think TJ Yeldon was one of the guys they brought in. They're trying to get some depth there at running back. So expect them to bring some people in, or expect them to be looking at more people. I'm kind of surprised Todd Gurley wasn't one of those guys, but I think we might have seen the end of Todd Gurley because we still haven't heard nothing. They're smart. San Francisco fans, hear me out. Go ahead and grab Frank Gore. He's all reliable. Can't go wrong with Frank. Next, number 8, the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, rugged game. Great game against Tampa Bay last week. Rugged game, pulls out the victory this week against a very tough Chargers team. Like what I saw, Tony Pollard has been the guy that has really impressed me the most on this Cowboys team. Outside of Dak and, those guys. So Tony Pollard's done some really good things for this Dallas team. So keep up the good work, Tony. But this Dallas team, number 8 for me, they did drop just a smidget on this countdown this week. Next, the Seattle Seahawks, who dropped 4 spots on this power ranking. Great game. It was a great game against the Tennessee Titans. Unfortunately for Seattle, they fell apart. Up by 15 with 12 minutes to go left in the fourth. And then Derrick Henry just, put on the Derrick Henry show. And now Seattle is 1-1. But I still won't put anything past Seattle. Seattle's a really, really good team, and they're still going to be one of those teams that compete in a very, very, very tough NFC West. I will tell you that right now. Now, the Vikings is who they play next week, and the Vikings are hungry for a victory. It's going to be their first home game, so we'll see if they will be able to get that first one of the season for the Vikings. But Seattle will give them and play them tough up there in Minnesota. Next, number 6, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns get the first victory of the season against a very tough Texans team. We're going to be honest with you. The Texans played them hard. Really gave them a run for their money. Really did. Gave them a run for their money. But I was very, very, very impressed. Very impressed. Them being able to battle back, make sure they can take care of things in that bad boy. So very proud of Cleveland on there. And, let's see what they can do this week. But they are number 6 on the countdown. Next, we've got number 5, the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo looks a lot better after week 1. They look like the Buffalo team that I picked to go to the Super Bowl, beating the Dolphins 35-0. The Dolphins obviously didn't have Tua, but the Buffalo looked great all the way around. So they jumped back up into the top 5 after an impressive week. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are just, the Kansas City Chiefs. I only dropped them 2 slots only because of the loss. And I almost kept them at number 2 regardless, but just because of how talented they are. And it was a tough, hard-fought game against the Ravens. But, like I said, this is the Chiefs. They'll be back up in this countdown, in my opinion, before the end of, the end of the season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they'd be number 1 at some point in this season. But right now, they're number 4. They dropped two slots to number 4. Number 3, the Los Angeles Rams. I wanted to put them at number 2. They played really well this week in a very hard-fought matchup against the Colts. A very tough defense in the Indianapolis Colts. They come in. Matt Stafford looks great. He looks great. And, I like what I've seen from Matt so far. And I feel a little bad because I will go ahead and give a spoiler alert. He's not in my top 5 MVP, but I got a feeling if he has another performance next week, he definitely will be in that top 5 on next week's. But we'll see. We'll see. I like the Rams. I like what they're doing. They continue to play well. If they can beat this Buccaneers team this week, oh boy, the Rams will definitely make the leap. Next, we've got the Arizona Cardinals. That's right, the Arizona Cardinals at number 2. They're 2-0. They do have Jacksonville this week, but they had a very hard-fought game against the Vikings, winning 34-33. And Kyler Murray is special, and I'm going to keep saying it. I like him as a quarterback. I like the things he does at quarterback. Kyler Murray is a special individual, and I like this Arizona Cardinals team. And we all know, ladies and gentlemen, who's number 1. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Very impressive victory against the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. And so the Bucs are number 1 on my top countdown right now for the power rankings heading into week 3. Great job, Tampa Bay. I'm going to say this. It's going to be hard for me to drop Tampa Bay out that number 1 slot until somebody can prove they can take that spot from them. Now, the way I kind of do my rankings is tough because I try to take in the fact that some of these guys or some of these teams are, just really good teams, and maybe they just had struggles at the beginning. But I also you got to take into account their record, but I also look at who they play. It's power rankings are always tough, but right now Tampa Bay looks good and they look almost unstoppable. But we'll see if they'll be able to, continue that dominance so far as they take on a very tough Los Angeles Rams team this week. So I'm very intrigued to see that. Now, before we move on to our MVP top 5, we're going to swing through one more time so y'all guys can see the power rankings. Of course, at the bottom, Falcons 32, Jets 31, Giants 30, Jaguars 29, Lions 28, Colts 27, Vikings at 26, the Texans at 25, the Bengals at 24, Bears 23, Patriots 22, Eagles 21. The outside looking in, the Dolphins at 20, the Washington football team at 19, the Chargers at 18, the Saints 17, the Broncos at 15. Then our top 15, the Panthers, after, like we said, just continue to look pretty good so far to start this season. They're at 15. The Titans, 14. The Ravens at 13. The Steelers at 12. The Packers at 11. The Raiders cracked the top 10 for the first time, and they are number 10 on this countdown. Number 9, the San Francisco 49ers. Number 8, the Dallas Cowboys. Number 7, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns. Our top 5, the Buffalo Bills at number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs at number 4, the Los Angeles Rams at number 3, number 2, the Arizona Cardinals, and of course, number 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So like I was saying, I mean, that's my power rankings heading into week 3. Very excited about that. But before we get out of here, let's go ahead and give you our top 5 MVP candidates after week 2. Number 5, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is looking beautiful so far this season. Absolutely great. He's second in the league in passing right now with 689 yards, averaging about 10 yards a throw, averaging 344.5 yards so far this season with 7 touchdowns and 3 picks. But, his quarterback rating is a 121.5. It's crazy. But I like Kyler at number 5. Number 4, Derrick Henry. Had a tough first week. Second week, he goes off. And he leads the league in rushing right now with 240 yards. He averaging 120 yards per game to start off, but when you had the performance that he had on Sunday and carrying that Titans team to victory, you got to put him in there. Next, we got Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes, great game. 6 touchdowns to 1 interception so far. Pat Mahomes has played extremely well. He was number 1 last week. He slides a little bit this week with the loss, but he's going to be in the mix all year, so don't be surprised. Next, Thomas Edward Brady. Thomas Brady has 9 touchdowns so far with 2 interceptions, and Tom Brady has just looked Tom Brady-esque, and everything's looked crisp. He's been cruising so far with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. I got Tom Brady at number 2. And number one, ladies and gentlemen, Derek Carr. Derek Carr so far has thrown for 817 yards, averaging 408 yards so far in the 2 games with 4 touchdowns and an interception with a quarterback rating of 104.7. Yes, Derek Carr right now, ladies and gentlemen, for myself, is the MVP after week 2. Let's make sure we clarify. After week 2, Derek Carr is the MVP in my mind. Like I said, I like what I've seen so far from Carr. Looks like he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I like the way he's played. And I'm hoping that he can continue that, because Derek Carr a couple years ago, and a lot of people asked, was the MVP before he got hurt. Let's see if he can bounce back and make things work his way. All right, everybody, I'm your man, Darrell Owens of the Legacy Maker Sports Network. We're so glad to have you all here for another edition of One-on-One here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. We will be back next week to give you our week 4 power rankings. And of course, we will be getting back to interviews soon, so don't be astray. We're gonna bring them back here, and we're gonna start doing some interviews. So thank you all for tuning in once again. I'm your man, Darrell Owens. Make sure you check out all our shows: Commonwealth Sports Talk, The Breakaway with Jay Quimby. Make sure you read on our articles, with our man Ty Montgomery. Just make sure, like I said, all of this stuff, just go to legacymakersports.com and just check out everything we got going on. We truly appreciate you. Enjoy the podcast. I'm your man, Darrell Owens. Until next time.
One. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one.